Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is time for the April 2024 challenge over at the Jaded Blossom blog. So I'm using Jaded Blossom's tree scene stamp set, their dandelion stamp set, their polka dot stencil, along with our scalloped oval dies, and some other things I'll pull out in a minute. So I'm using Distress Oxide inks in a bunch of colors: mustard seed, picked raspberry, lumberjack plaid, and spiced marmalade. And I'm just using blender brushes, and I'm going to ink blend over the background of this card. So I'm just quickly sort of covering, visual triangles with these colors. I'm just sort of ink blending it here and there. Now, the reason why I'm using these colors is April's challenge is to use warm colors like pink, yellow, red, and orange. And that's what I decided to do. So I used Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And this is cut basically at the size of an A2 size card front. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, just knowing that I will be cutting it down. And that's why I did that. So I'm just sort of ink blending over the whole front of it. And this does not have to be perfect. And trust me, it isn't. Although looking back, I probably should have used maybe watercolor cardstock from Ranger, Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock. That would have been smart, just because I'll be adding a little bit of moisture to this, and it just would have made things easier. But so there it is with Distress Oxide inks. Just adding a little bit more pink, and there you have it. Oops, just going to ink blend a little bit more in the yellows. You get the gist. This doesn't have to be perfect, but of course I'm messing around with it anyway. So there we go, adding a little bit more spiced marmalade. And there you have it. So next I'm going to do the exact same thing with the same colors, except I'm using Distress ink. So I'm using a little holder from Simon Says Stamp to hold my mini inks. And I'm using blender brushes. And I'm going to be adding on the colors from Distress, using Distress ink instead of Distress Oxide ink. So there we go. So I'm just sort of ink blending these colors. And I'm just adding them on. Willy-nilly, same sort of thing. I find that the Distress inks are a lot brighter than the Distress Oxide inks, but they're a lot harder to blend, right? That's why I do really prefer the Distress Oxide inks, but it is what it is. I have both and I like to use both. So now I'm pulling out picked raspberry here, and I'm going to ink blend on that in a few spots. And I'm making 2 cards for this challenge. Jaded Blossom has a challenge over on their blog once a month. You could enter, you can follow the follow the challenge and enter a card. We'd love to see it. And you could possibly win a stamp set of your choice, which is lots of fun, right? And we love to see what you guys come up with. So I'm just adding on my Distress ink. And there we go. And adding on, and I'm just trying to, make this a little bit more solid. But it will be covered up a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. So there we go. And I'm just adding in a little bit more pink, because why not, right? And I'll do the same with the spiced marmalade. And there we go. So I'm kind of I'm making 2 different backgrounds using the same colors, right? Except for one's with oxides and one's with Distress inks. I'm not too worried about that one spot up there. Don't worry about that. It'll be covered up. And there we go. So there are the 2 backgrounds. You can see the one on the right there was oxides. So now I'm pulling out the little polka dot stencil, and I'm using a damp microfiber cloth just to kind of pull up some of the color. Now I do tear the paper a little bit because this is not watercolor cardstock. I should have thought of that. But I'm not too concerned. I will use my, my little heater tool or my embossing tool to, dry my cardstock in between. I don't show that, I don't think, but, I do in between. There we go. And now I'm pulling up the color. I'm pulling up some of that color through the stencil Same idea, and this is with the Distress Oxide inks. So it's a lot more not as noticeable. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just sort of patting it and seeing if I can pull up some of that color. I think this would have worked a lot better on watercolor cardstock, but you know, I'm not too concerned. And there we go. Fun, right? Oh, I do show you. So I'm working on my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station because it's metal, and that way I won't melt anything underneath. And I'm just drying it off using my embossing tool. There we go. So it's just, I'm just, heating it up to dry it. You'll see that there is a little bit of, what's it called? Like flaking of my cardstock, on the one I'm working on right now. That's the Distress ink. I rubbed a little too hard, but I'm not too concerned because literally I'll be stamping something over this, so it's not a big deal. So I'm just trying to dry this all off. And there we go. So now I'm pulling out our scalloped oval die, and I'm going to run it through my Anna Griffin Mini Empress machine. And I'm just going to cut out this scalloped oval. There we go. And there we go. So there is my Distress Oxide ink one. And then I did the same with the Distress ink one. That's the one that I'm working with right now. And now I'm pulling out our tree scene stamp set. I've got it in my Misty, and I'm just going to line up my tree scene there. I'll pick it up with the back of my Misty. And then I'm going to use my VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. I'm just making sure that's stuck down. And I'm going to ink up this stamp with my VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And the nice thing about a Misty is you can stamp multiple times, right? There we go. So I'm just going to stamp this enough times until I get a nice solid silhouette of these trees. Kind of fun, right? I really love the background. I think it looks great. It's really kind of vibrant. And I think it's a fun representation of like a warm colored background. So I'm just going to stamp this all down. There we go. And isn't that fun? I'm going to stamp it another time. I'm just trying to make sure I get a nice, sharp, solid image of these trees. There we go. And I will pull that up and, oh, looks pretty good. So that's my first. I'm just going to fill in that little spot that didn't, stamp too well. It's because my background has, a little bit of like my paper's roughed up in a couple of spots, because I probably should have used watercolor paper, but you live, you learn. And there we go. And I think it looks really good. So next I'm going to do the exact same thing, but with something different. I'm pulling out my Dandelion stamp set from Jaded Blossom, and I'm going to stamp onto this oval. And this is, remember, this is the Distress Oxide inks this time. And I'm just going to do 3. There we are. And then I will use that same VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink to stamp onto my background. But this will be a vertical card. The other one's going to be a horizontal A2 size card. So I'm just going to ink up these 3 dandelions. There we go. And then I will stamp that down onto my background. Remember, don't press too hard. You're better off stamping multiple times than pressing too hard, right? There we go. Good. And we will stamp it again just to make sure I get a good stamped image. Like I said, the nice thing about a Misty, right? I'm just making sure this is stamped down well. There we go. And I'm just tilting it in the light to see how the images look. Then I'm going to add on the stem on the one on the upper left, and then the little, I guess, kind of stem. I don't know what it's called. It's, when you blow a dandelion and a puff goes through the air. Is it a seed? I'm not sure. I'm adding the little seed tail on, whatever that's called, as well. And isn't that fun? I just think it looks great. I'm going to add a little stem on to this other one. There we go. And fun stuff, right? I just think it's really, striking. Next, I'm going to add in my little eagles. that come with that little tree scene stamp set. I will freehand that. I'm stamping in that same ink using an acrylic block and stamping onto a little foam sheet just to give myself a little bit of give for when I'm stamping. Just making sure that little one will stamp. There we go. I'm going to add that one as well. And then there you go. Kind of a fun background. Next, I'm pulling out Honeybee's Back to Basics 6-inch pad. And I cut a piece of paper, basically 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 size card front. Using my Fiskars trimmer here. There we go. And I'll do the same with this. This is for the other card. Just 2 different black and white patterns. There we go. And now I'm going to just quickly score my A2 size card fronts. And then we will fold those and get them going. There we go. And then I will fold this one as well. This is cut from, this is Paper Trank white cardstock. There we are. And next I'm going to add on my backgrounds onto my A2 size card fronts with some ATG tape. Just making sure it's straight. And I'm just lining up that pattern paper onto my background. So one is a vertical and one is a horizontal A2 size card base. So, you know, the 2 different, facing in 2 different directions. And then we will add this to the A2 size card front as well. And there we go. Next, I'm going to trim down this leftover piece and I'm going to put that on the inside of my card. Just for fun. Might as well use it, right? So I'm just trimming it down a little bit so it can go on the inside of my card just for a little bit of decorative, you know, for a decorative look. I like to put something on the inside of my card, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure this out. There we go. And then we will add that to the inside of the card. I do the exact same thing to the other one. Just sort of trimming it down. And then, like I said, adding it to the inside of my cards. Just for fun. And there we go. Okay, so now I will be adding these to the inside of my card fronts using the same one, you know, obviously using the Distress Oxide ink on the Distress Oxide card, you know, keeping things the same on the inside. So I'm just using my Barely Art glue and I'll add that to the inside of my card front here, or the inside of my card. So I'm just trying to make sure this is lined up well. And then I do have a strip of paper from that same 6-inch pad. And I do weight it down in between. I decide not to use these more busy patterns. I decide to use the exact same patterns just because I think why not, right? So I cut them down into 1-inch strips and then we will add that to the inside bottom edge of this card base. So I'm just going to add that on the inside for fun, and I will trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors here. Might as well use it, right? So these are going to be 2 sympathy cards, actually. I'm going to do the exact same thing with this one, adding that to the inside of my card, and then adding the strip of paper as well. There we go. I thought I'd do something a little different for our April challenge. Remember, you have until, it's the first Sunday of every month we have the challenge on. You usually have, or you have until the Saturday, I believe at midnight PST, to get your project uploaded into, onto the site. And then, you have a chance to win a stamp set of your choice, which is lots of fun. There we go. So now I am pulling out my Barely Art glue and some tweezers, and I'm going to add these little backgrounds that I created to each card base. So I'm just making sure the glue is in each scallop. And then I'll stick this down. Just trying to line it up evenly on my card front. It really pops, right? And I do weight it down with an acrylic block. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to this other one. This is my the Distress ink version. And then I will stick that down to my card base as well with a little bit of glue. There we go. Adding that to the center of my card front with my reverse tweezers. I love this tree scene. I just think it's so pretty. I will weight that down as well. Now I'm going to be using the stamp set Wishing You Comfort, which is a favorite of mine for making sympathy cards. And I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the front of each card using the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. So Sharing in Your Sorrow. And this will go on the front of each card. There we go. I'm going to stamp it again because both cards are going to get the same sentiment. And then I'm going to also use our scalloped rectangle dies to cut these out. So there we go. And now on the inside, I'm going to stamp a sentiment from that same Wishing You Comfort stamp set. And I will stamp that using our Misty with the VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. There we go. Okay, and this says, thinking of you and wishing you peace and comfort, which is one of my favorite little sentiments for a sympathy card. I'm going to stamp the exact same thing on the other version, this time in the center of the card, or as close to the center as I can get, right? Using my Misty. It's one of my favorite tools. There we go. Now I'm going to use our scalloped rectangle dies to cut out, I believe this is the smallest one, and I'm going to cut out these sentiments with that. There we go. There it is. And I'll do the same with the other. I always use some form of tape to tape it down just so it doesn't move. I always use tape to make sure it doesn't move during my die cutting. Next, I'm going to use some Post-it tape just to cover up my stamping on the inside, just to protect the inside cover of my card. I don't want to get ink on there. I've got it facing, the sticky is facing up, so it'll stick to the, the other side of the card base just to protect it. Next, I'm going to trim out some black paper tray cardstock to kind of frame out my scalloped rectangle. So my scalloped rectangle is 1 1/4 by 2 1/2, and then I cut out the black rectangle of paper at 1 3/8 by 2 11/16. And I'm going to add this down to the front here with some ATG tape. There we go. And then I will trim that out. So I sort of measured it for you, so it's like 1 3/8 by 2 11/16. In the end, just for the rectangle. So I'm just sticking that down with some ATG tape, and then I will trim that out with my trimmer. There we go. And then I'll have my 2 little sentiments for the front of my card, of each card. There we go. So now I'm using some ATG tape. I'm going to keep this nice and flat. And I'm going to put this in the lower right-hand corner of this card. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same for this one, but I'll put it in the lower left-hand corner with some ATG tape. There we go. Sharing in Your Sorrow. I think that's perfect for a sympathy card, and there they are. So next I'm pulling out Trinity Stamps Heart Jelly Drops. Just using a triangle tray from Simon Says Stamp. And I tried to use my glossy accents, but wouldn't you know, they're dried out. And I actually went to buy some in town, and I couldn't get any. So I ended up using Diamond Glaze, which is made by Judikins. It's very similar 2 glossy accents, and I just use that to glue down my embellishments. I would have chosen glossy accents for these just because these are shiny embellishment, but the, this Judekins Diamond Glaze works just as well. So I'm just making sure that it's running or that it's going there, and I'm adding some little droplets, and I'm going to add 3 to my card front in a visual triangle. And I'm using this Studio Katia embellishment wand to pick up these little heart jellies. There we go. So I'm just adding 3 to the card. This is really my only dimension on my little cards. There we go. And there you have it. And I'm just going to make sure that is stuck down well. Whoops. I'll add a little bit more of that Judekins Diamond Glaze. It really is like clear glossy accents, I have to say. Just making sure they're nice and straight. And there we go. There are my 2 cards for the April 2024 challenge from Jaded Blossom over on their blog. So check it out and come and play along with us. We'd love to see what you create. Oops. And I end up lying. I end up adding a couple more because I can't help myself. I'm going to add 2 more. I lied. It's 5. I have 5 on the card, not 3. There we go. So I'm just going to add 2 more in the lower right. And on this one, it'll be 2 more in the lower left. You know, odd numbers, visual triangles, all that jazz still apply. And there we go. And there you have it. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, be inspired by the team, the Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on these products, and come and play along with our challenge. We'd really like to see what you create. It's lots of fun and, gets you out of your comfort zone a bit trying new things. So thank you, as always, for watching my videos, and come back and watch another one soon. Bye, everybody.